Now, don't you find it fascinating, as I do, that they actually chose the term flock for their brand? So, flock, of course, is you have a flock of sheep, right? So, in libertarian circles and certainly in other circles, political circles, I'm sure some of you may have heard the term over time, sheeple. It is an uncharitable view of just the people who kind of go along with the flow and, the people who kind of gave us COVID mania, right? So the flock of sheeple say bah, right? But we, the people, must say nah. And so I'm here to say nah to this flock model. Now, leaning into that idea of a flock a little bit is also the notion of the shepherd, right? So this is where they catch us. They create this sense where they're like, no, 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 we're the good guys. We're just going to make sure everything's cool, right? We're just observing. We're the watchers. And then again, the question becomes, who watches the watchers? Because whoever is watching, it's like, okay, they're going to be implementing behavioral science. They're going to be like, hey, we actually want people to drive less, so we're going to do this and this. Now, you know how people drive because you've been watching that parking lot at Target for like 4 years, right? So someone's buying that data and then figuring things out. So the question becomes, what are they going to do with this data, and where are we heading with this? So we fully understand that we dislike government surveillance, right? And we understand why we have the warrants, why we have due process. And here in New Hampshire, the RSA that you should know about is 236 130, okay? And I have to be honest, I did not double check that number, so I hope it is right. But then we're like, okay, government surveillance, bad. But then we're like, no, private surveillance, it's voluntary. But I posit that this actually gives us the worst of both worlds, right? Because the private firms now record everything in public adjacent spaces without your consent. They commodify the data, your likeness, your image, and then they hand it over to the state without the constitutional limits that they would have had if the government had installed the cameras, right? So having flock on private property is a perfect workaround that is really, really, really good for Big Bro and his cronies, but it's not so good for us over here, the sheeple, right? And so that watcher, the shepherd, I want you to think about this little statement just a little bit. So I read this once and it really struck me and I haven't forgotten it. It said, the shepherd teaches the sheep to fear the wolf, but in the end, it is the shepherd who eats the flock. And it struck me because there is a very deep truth in that. So who in our scenario is the shepherd and what are their shears, right? So the shepherd, of course, is the private companies that are doing this, Big Brother who's colluding with them, and we should really be skeptical about this situation that's being put in. All right.